Are you a man over 50? Have you ever felt a dull, deep ache in your pelvic area? A discomfort that's hard to pinpoint, yet impossible to ignore? Have you found yourself getting up again and again, especially at night, only to feel like your bladder still isn't empty? Do you notice a sore, nagging pain after sitting too long, or a flare-up after a particularly stressful day? If you're nodding along, let me ask you this. Have you ever been told it's just part of getting older? Or been handed a diagnosis of prostatitis or chronic pelvic pain syndrome, leaving you feeling bewildered, confused, and full of more questions than answers? You are not alone. Millions of men right here in our country and around the world silently struggle with this often debilitating condition. It's a phantom threat that can steal your comfort, your sleep, and even your peace of mind. But what if I told you there is a solution? What if, by the end of this video, you'll have a powerful toolkit to help you take back control of your body and your life? Cutting-edge research is shedding new light on prostatitis and chronic pelvic pain syndrome every single day. And it shows that the power to manage, and in many cases drastically reduce, your symptoms lies in the choices you make each morning, noon, and night. We are going to count down the 5 most harmful things you must avoid, starting at number 5 and ending with the one absolute enemy you need to watch out for above all else. This isn't generic advice. It's a detailed, evidence-based roadmap to feeling better. So go ahead, grab a glass of water. You'll soon see why that's a great idea, and stick with me. Number 5, improper drinking. So let's begin. We're kicking off our countdown at number 5. This is something many of us do without even thinking, but it can be a major trigger for your pelvic pain. It may sound simple, just drink more water, but things get a bit more complicated when you have a sensitive prostate and pelvic region. Let's break down this important, yet often misunderstood, aspect of managing your symptoms. First, let's talk about dehydration. When you don't drink enough water, your urine becomes very concentrated. Picture a drying river. What's left behind is thick with minerals and waste. This concentrated urine is a powerful irritant to the delicate lining of your bladder and urethra. For a man with prostatitis or chronic pelvic pain syndrome, it's like pouring salt on a wound. It can cause burning during urination, increase both frequency and urgency, and overall worsen inflammation in the pelvic area. But there's another side to the coin: improper fluid choices. Many men, in an effort to avoid dehydration, reach for beverages that actually make their condition worse. I'm talking about 2 major enemies of pelvic health: caffeine and alcohol. Let's start with caffeine. That morning cup of coffee, the afternoon tea, or that energy drink you think you need to power through the day. They're all potent diuretics. In other words, they make your kidneys produce more urine, forcing you to visit the bathroom more often. But it doesn't stop there. Caffeine is also a known bladder irritant. It can trigger bladder muscle contractions and spasms, leading to that uncomfortable urgency and a constant, nagging need to go. Now let's talk about alcohol. A beer after a long day or a glass of wine with dinner might feel relaxing, but for your prostate, it's anything but. Alcohol is also a diuretic and bladder irritant, just like caffeine. It can amplify inflammation throughout your body, and the prostate is especially vulnerable. Some studies even show a direct link between regular alcohol consumption and a higher risk of prostatitis. On top of that, alcohol can disrupt the nerve signals that control your bladder, resulting in even more urinary dysfunction. So what's the solution? It's straightforward, but it takes discipline. Stick to clean, plain water. Aim to drink at least 1.5 to 2 liters throughout the day. Don't gulp it all down at once. Sip slowly and steadily. This will keep your urine diluted and help flush out irritants. Herbal teas, like chamomile or peppermint, can also be calming, soothing alternatives. The key takeaway here: not all fluids are created equal. Number 4. Constant stress. Now, number 4, and this invisible enemy can have a very real physical impact on your pelvic pain. Stress. We live in a high-pressure world. Financial worries, work deadlines, family obligations, it all piles up. And for men, especially those from a generation taught to just tough it out, acknowledging and managing stress can be a real challenge. But here's what the latest research tells us loud and clear. There is a profound, undeniable connection between your mind and your pelvic floor. Think about what you do when you're scared or under pressure. You clench your jaw, hunch your shoulders. In the same way, you subconsciously tighten your pelvic floor muscles. It's part of the body's natural fight or flight response. The problem is, when you live in a state of chronic stress, those pelvic floor muscles can become chronically tight, spasmed, and inflamed. This condition is often called pelvic floor hypertonicity, and it's a primary driver of pain in chronic pelvic pain syndrome. Picture your pelvic floor as a hammock of muscles supporting your bladder and other organs. A healthy hammock is strong yet supple, but under constant stress, that hammock turns into a rigid, unyielding board. This continual tension can cause a host of issues: restricted blood flow that hinders healing, nerve irritation that sends a steady stream of pain signals to your brain, and of course, that deep, unrelenting ache that defines chronic pelvic pain. Science has also shown that stress hormones, particularly cortisol, can directly fuel inflammation. So stress not only tightens you up physically, but also fans the flames of inflammation on a chemical level. A vicious cycle emerges. Pain creates stress, and stress intensifies pain. So how do you fight this invisible enemy? You must actively practice stress reduction techniques. Deep diaphragmatic breathing, aka belly breathing, is incredibly powerful. By taking slow, deep breaths, you can send a direct signal to your nervous system that it's safe to relax, which in turn helps release tension in the pelvic floor. Other proven methods include meditation, gentle stretching or yoga, and simply carving out time for a hobby. Even a 20-minute walk in nature can profoundly lower your stress and, by extension, your pain. Number 3. Spicy and acidic foods. Coming in at number 3 on our list of things to avoid is something many of us love: a bit of heat in our meals. But when you're dealing with pelvic pain, that heat can feel like a full-scale assault on your system. We're talking about spicy and highly acidic foods. Let's start with spicy. Foods containing capsaicin, the compound that gives chili peppers their kick, can be powerful irritants. When you eat spicy food, those capsaicin compounds eventually end up in your urine. As that urine, now loaded with capsaicin, travels through your urinary tract, it can directly irritate already inflamed prostate tissue and the delicate lining of your bladder. Think of it this way. If you had a sunburn, you wouldn't slather it with hot sauce, right? The principle is the same here. You can expect a noticeable increase in burning sensations, urgency, and general pelvic discomfort. Now let's move on to acidic foods. This is another category that can cause serious trouble. Highly acidic foods and drinks can lower the pH of your urine, making it more acidic and therefore more irritating to your urinary tract. Some of the biggest culprits here are things we often consider healthy. Citrus fruits, for example, oranges, grapefruit, lemons, and even tomatoes. They're all very acidic. A glass of orange juice in the morning, it could trigger a day of pain. Tomato sauce on pasta, another potential trigger. It's important to remember that everyone's tolerance is different. Keeping a food and symptom diary can be incredibly helpful. For a week or two, jot down everything you eat and drink and rate your symptoms on a scale from 1 to 10. You may begin to see very clear patterns emerge. The solution isn't to switch to a bland, boring diet. The solution is to be smart and strategic. Identify your personal triggers and find delicious alternatives. Number 2. A sedentary lifestyle. We're closing in on our top spot. But at number 2, we have a habit so ingrained in modern life that we barely notice, but it wreaks havoc on your pelvic health. Prolonged sitting. I'll make a bold statement. For a man with prostatitis or chronic pelvic pain syndrome, sitting for long periods is one of the worst things you can do. When you sit, you apply constant direct pressure to the perineum, the area between your scrotum and anus. And what sits right under there? Your prostate, along with the intricate network of nerves and muscles that make up your pelvic floor. When you remain seated hour after hour, day after day, you're essentially crushing this highly sensitive region. That compression does a few very bad things. First, it restricts blood flow. Less circulation means less oxygen and fewer nutrients reaching the tissues, and slower clearance of inflammatory waste. Second, that constant pressure can directly irritate the nerves in your pelvic area. Third, as we discussed with stress, sitting often leads to tightening of your pelvic floor muscles. Imagine pinching a garden hose. The water flow is restricted and pressure builds up. That's exactly what you're doing to your pelvis when you sit too long. Truck drivers, office workers, pilots, anyone whose job or lifestyle keeps them planted in a chair for extended stretches is at significantly higher risk. So what can you do in a world built for sitting? The answer is movement. You need to break the sitting cycle. Many physical therapists recommend this rule of thumb. Every 30 minutes of sitting, stand up and move for at least 5 minutes. Set a timer on your phone. Rise, stretch, take a short walk. Investing in a sit-stand desk can be life-changing. And when you do sit, sit smarter. Avoid hard surfaces. A specialized orthopedic cushion with a perineal cutout can work wonders. Number 1. Poor nutrition. Here we are at the top spot. The single worst thing to avoid if you're dealing with prostatitis or chronic pelvic pain syndrome isn't a single food or activity. It's an entire category of ingredients that has infiltrated our modern diet and, according to mounting scientific evidence, is the primary driver of chronic inflammation. I'm talking about the dietary evil triad: processed foods, refined sugar, and unhealthy fats. If you take away only one thing from this video, let it be this: the food you eat either fights inflammation or feeds it. There is no third option. Let's start with processed foods. These are anything in a box, bag, or can with a lengthy list of ingredients you can't even pronounce. They're often loaded with artificial additives and preservatives. When you consume them, your immune system can shift into high alert, triggering a systemic inflammatory response. For a man whose prostate is already inflamed, that's like pouring gasoline on a fire. Next, refined sugar. This hidden monster lurks in many of our foods and beverages: sodas, sweetened juices, candies, baked goods. Modern research has unequivocally shown that a high-sugar diet is one of the most pro-inflammatory dietary patterns around. Finally, unhealthy fats. I'm referring to trans fats, commonly found in fried foods, pastries, and many processed snacks, as well as an overload of omega-6 fatty acids present in corn, soybean, and sunflower oils. Imagine your body as a high-performance engine. Processed foods, sugars, and bad fats are like pouring low-grade dirty fuel into that engine. Pelvic pain and inflammation are the warning lights on your dashboard, begging you to change the fuel. What's the alternative? A whole food, anti-inflammatory diet. Focus on colorful fruits and vegetables packed with antioxidants. Embrace healthy fats like omega-3s found in fatty fish, walnuts, and avocado. Choose lean proteins and complex carbohydrates, such as sweet potatoes, quinoa, and brown rice. This dietary shift is the most powerful thing you can do to tackle the root cause of your pain: chronic inflammation. So there you have it. The 5 most harmful things to avoid if you're dealing with prostatitis or chronic pelvic pain syndrome. Let's recap. Improper hydration. Swap out caffeine and alcohol for pure water. Chronic stress. Actively manage stress to relax your pelvic floor. Spicy and acidic foods. Identify and eliminate your personal triggers. Sedentary lifestyle. Sit less, move more, and relieve pressure on your prostate. And poor nutrition. Cut out processed foods, sugar, and unhealthy fats in favor of an anti-inflammatory diet. I know that's a lot to take in, and making these changes can feel daunting. But I want you to see this not as a list of restrictions, but as a list of opportunities. Each of these points is a powerful lever you can pull to improve your quality of life. You don't have to suffer in silence, and you don't have to accept this pain as your new normal. The knowledge is out there, backed by modern science. The power to change is in your hands. Start small. Maybe this week, commit to standing up from your desk every 30 minutes. Or swap your daily soda for a glass of water. Small, consistent steps lead to huge, long-term results. This is your path to better health, and it begins today. Thank you for watching. If you found this information valuable, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. We're building something new here, so every subscription counts. And please share your experiences and questions in the comments below. Let's create a supportive community of men ready to take back control of their health.